Yes.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to week 3 of the Wellington Napoleon Fall Esports season. Tonight, we will be having the W and Esports team facing off against Waynesville High School. Um, and yeah, week 3, Wellington is already off to a 2-0 start. And we're kind of seeing if they're going to be able to keep up that momentum going into the third game of the season.
Yeah, for sure. Miles, why I think we should go about and introduce ourselves, because not everyone knows who we are.
I think they do. But I am Miles Hodson. I am an alumni of WN HS, also an alumni of the esports program as well. Went to college, played for a couple of years, and now I'm here streaming the games.
And I am Matthew Travis. I am also an alumni of WNHS and WN Esports, and I am currently the esports student leader at Southwest Baptist University.
So yeah, um, but enough about us. Enough about us. Let's get to the real spotlights of the show, and that is WN Esports and their starting lineup for the night, and that is going to be Pig Dini, Cole Williamson on the tank, Milkman Mason Hodson on the DPS, Pixies Rose, Tucker Martin on the DPS, and Matthew. Why don't you go ahead and round it off for us?
You know, I think we have Vitamin C, Andrew Travis as our as our first support, and then we have Wisp, who is Ashley Davis as our other support.
Now, coming out of Wellington, very, very strong lineup, as we did talk about on week 1 and saw on week 1 as well. So
Hmm.
we're kind of seeing if they continue to build up that synergy and they're going to be able to continue the wipe per se. Um, but we actually do have the pleasure of this week of seeing the starting lineup for the facing the for Waynesville, that is. And we're going to be seeing Herky GG on tank, Mustang on DPS, XE as a flex player, and Matthew, I'll have you going ahead and finish that off.
We also have Apple Cider Pie, who's also the flex player, and then we have Wiggle Duck, who is their one of their main support players.
So yeah, this will be a very interesting lineup as we're going into the games tonight, and we'll go on ahead and we'll take a look at the map pool because it is kind of a long map pool. Most of these maps, I feel like, go the distance every time. So I have a feeling we might be seeing some long matches going into tonight.
Miles, what can I say? You have Antarctic Peninsula and Busan, and then Rialto. Who likes playing on Rialto?
I do.
I
I
know
love
I
her.
don't.
What? Nah, that's just
Miles,
slander. I won't even stand for that, actually.
I'm sorry that I don't want to play a 20-minute comp game in Overwatch.
Well, here's the difference. Too bad. So why don't we go ahead? We're gonna go ahead and get into the game, and we will go on ahead and see how the Wellington Napoleon and Waynesville starts off
Yeah, I'm
into the
super
game.
excited to see these two teams battle it out.
And it does kind of look like Wellington's going to be starting off on more of a brawl comp, perhaps. It looks like both teams will be. The Orisa has been somewhat prevalent in Major League play as well, so it's not entirely shocking that we're going to be seeing Pig Didi pulling out the Orisa.
For sure. I do think it is kind of interesting because I know these maps are more dominated by Reinhardt. So I think that's why they're starting to lean towards the Orisa a little bit as kind of a counter.
And Orisa also is somewhat of a comfort pick hero. It's something you can kind of pick up, while Reinhardt kind of requires a little bit more play. But Waynesville kind of has more of a counter to that with the Soldier and the Reaper. But let's go ahead and get into this first fight.
Yeah, as we see a brawl match just in this middle of the, like, on the left side of the point here, as we see both Wellington Napoleon supports go down, but Milkman Mason kind of counters back with the pick on the Soldier.
We do actually see two pickups coming out from the Wellington Napoleon side, but with no heals. Wellington has no sustain going in this fight, and they're going to have to back up or they're going to lose more players. But Wellington is playing very strong here. Pig Dean picking up a very aggressive angle onto the point as Tucker Martin and Mason Houghton both push onto the point. Wisp does come back, however, but Tucker Martin does fall down.
Yeah, I think he didn't get any of that protective Suzu, so he couldn't be cleansed from the Ana Purple.
Kind of turning into a very costly fight for Wellington here, as while they are getting the pickups and everything, we're not seeing any point progress. So we're not getting a whole lot out of this fight as Waynesville goes up to 30% on the point.
But Miles, I must shout out Wisp here. This Kiriko play is really great. The TP onto the Orisa to save her, that might have saved this fight for WN Esports.
And they are able to sustain very well as Waynesville actually has to back off the point and head back to their spawn as Milkman Mason just keeps on walking in. Does get punished for his aggression, however, by Apple Cider Pie.
Yeah, and he was able to get the pick onto the Orisa, but you know, that could cost them because their Orisa is going to be back a lot faster.
Another thing to look at is Wellington does have a huge ult bank coming up, and we're probably going to be looking at a couple ultimates use this next fight on both sides. This is probably going to be very costly for both teams.
Miles, I have it on my bingo card that we're going to see 6 ults this fight. 6 ults in a fight.
Pig Dini uses his. Pfizer comes out. It is slept by Vitamin C. Huge sleep coming out, but Apple Cider Pie ends up waking up. Finds 2, finds 3, finds 4 that fight. Insanely huge pick coming out from Apple Cider Pie as Waynesville ends up turning that point again in their favor.
Yeah, all I'm seeing is Apple Cider Pie dominance here. I'm loving the soldier pick here. It's working out so well for Waynesville here, and it's just allowing them to take such aggressive positioning.
A pick I do like seeing coming out from Wellington here is the Zarya pick. Zarya can counter the Orisa pretty well if you can play the aggression that's good enough. Mason almost taking the head off of Mustang. Pig Dini ends up finding the rest. Mason finds another. Vitamin C does go down, but before taking the Orisa with him, and Wellington's going to be able to take up this point while only using 2 ultimates to win it.
That was a great ultimate. A great ultimate economy fight. You know, as you see, they did use the, oh my goodness. What is that ultimate called again? Or the Orisa ult, whatever. And
Terra Surge.
Yeah, Terra Surge, that's right. I'm so used to Bongo. I miss Bongo. But yeah, no, as we see the swap onto the Reinhardt after the ultimate, I think it's a good swap. I think it's going to counter the Zarya comp pretty well.
To quote the Overwatch League, Reinhardt was the only thing that could apparently count. No, let's just not even talk about that right now. Milkman Mason finds an insanely good entry pick here, while Pixie Rose finds one with his blade, and Wellington's just going to be able to clean up this fight, looking into a last fight territory now.
It was a good ultimate economy fight. They only used 1 ult there, and that's going to be huge for Wellington Napoleon.
Looking into this fight, Waynesville's only going to have the 1 ultimate ready, and that's going to be their Reaper ultimate, while Wellington only has their Rush ready. Pig Dini does get slept. Rush comes out from Wellington. There is an Ana flanking onto the point. She does go down. Mustang finds 3 with the Death Blossom, but I don't think he'll be able to follow it up with anything, as Pig Dini and Milkman Mason are going crazy on the point.
Yeah, that was pure dominance by Milkman Mason there. As we see, Mustang got the huge ultimate, but Milkman Mason just closed it out for Wellington Napoleon Esports. All right, as we get into map 2, we see a little bit of a swap come out. We see Mustang go over to a Symmetra and Wiggle Duck go over to the Moira. As we see Apple Cider Pie also swap onto the Genji and Perky swap onto the Winston. I think we're going to see a little bit of a dive here, Miles.
All right. I do have to, because I did have to relaunch my game. I would like to apologize because that is incredibly annoying for the viewers and me as well. Just because no idea what changed between last week and this week. Something did, however, enough to cause a complete and utter disrupt to everything. But I do believe we have that fixed now, and everything should be running smoother. So let's go ahead and head back into the action.
Yeah, and Miles, I'm gonna piggyback off of what I was saying. We are seeing more of a dive comp here from Wellington Napoleon, or from Waynesville. I apologize.
Yes. But however, I do think, well, you know what? Maybe they don't. I was going to say, I think Wellington does counter their comp a little bit here, but it doesn't seem to be doing very well, or Wellington wasn't at least expecting it, as they're kind of just getting walked on with no regard to what's happening.
Yeah, I would have to agree. I think that they're super susceptible to a dive here, as we see Pixis Rose already swap over the Reaper, which I think is a good decision.
I agree, and I'd honestly somewhat expect to see an Orisa coming out from Big Dini as a response, and right there
we go.
Really good.
I would prefer to see our Ana swap over to a Baptiste here to try and give them a little bit more of a defense against these divers.
We will have to see what ends up happening here as Wellington Napoleon is trying to find an entryway into this point. As the Genji does go up, gets extremely low. Pink Dini ends up finding the finishing elimination on that. And as they drop down, they're going to have to take out some Symmetra turrets, but they're going to start moving towards the point.
Yeah, no, I think that was a really great play as we see another elimination come out from Milkman Mason, as he's just able to find everything for
Milkman Mason flies a little bit too close to the Winston, ends up falling down to him as well there, as we're going to see Pixie Rose ends up falling down, looking at the Genji. Genji reflecting, ends up finding the elimination. Pick Dini ends up finding a third. Blade comes out from Waynesville, finds one, but Cole's just trying to keep the team alive as he ends up finding Hershey Gigi, and he's just going to end up falling down on this point to Mustang.
And Miles, I don't think it's a Hershey's Kiss. I'm pretty sure it's Herky, but
caught up in the moment. All right.
I know. Yeah, no, that's a great fight from Waynesville. As they only end up using one ultimate, Miles. I think that's going to be crucial for this next fight for Waynesville.
And the worst part of it is Wellington is nearing. Waynesville's nearing 75% on this point. Wellington's only built one ult, two ults here, and still haven't used one. We're going to go on ahead and use one of ours, but both our supports fall down. Pink Dini finds three, however. The Madman on the Orisa is going absolutely insane, but he's the only person up for Wellington at this point, and I don't think he's going to be able to take it all.
I have to agree, Miles. It was a really good hero play from Tiger Steos, but not able to secure the point.
Not enough. Wellington looking incredibly sloppy, and Waynesville's able to capitalize off top of that. As we're going to be going into the third round of Antarctic Peninsula, what are you expecting to see Wellington change up going into this?
Miles, I think they have to copy the dive. I think if they want it to work, they've got to copy it.
They're getting a little bit weird with it already. Bastion.
That is an interesting pick. I mean, I've seen it work, but it is something a little strange.
I'd honestly love to see Wellington possibly pull out the Sigma to counter the Orisa. But I do not think we're going to be able to see Pick Dini pull that out tonight. I think he's going to be more comfortable on that Orisa. But we're just going to have to see what Wellington does to answer the push from Waynesville High School.
Yeah, I would agree. You know, I think the Sigma would be able to. I think the Sigma would be the best option here for Tiger Steos. But you know, as we see this Bastion start to come out, I think they need to try and take more of this space because they're just not. They're not able to find anything for their DPS line.
Wellington's playing incredibly passive, and it's really not paying off for them as Waynesville's able to capitalize off of every non-step that Wellington takes, and they're just going to keep falling over like dominoes as they get pushed back into their spawn by Waynesville, who's going to hold a very aggressive position, it looks like.
I think this is a great play from Waynesville, honestly. I haven't seen them before, but I'm liking what they're cooking.
Wellington is going to go back to the Zarya comp that they were trying the last round. I don't know how well it's going to work, but Wellington thinks it's got something. So we're going to see what Tigdina can do.
Yes, we see the anti come out from Vitamin C, hipping apple cider pie, but nothing was followed up on it.
Immortality is already used for Waynesville, so that might be a go condition for Wellington. 2 big purples coming out from Vitamin C, but Pigdini falls low and has to back up. Rush comes out from Wisp. This is a big go point for Wellington to go and move up. Another huge anti coming out from Vitamin C. That sets up a big elimination for Pigdini, but Waynesville's able to just continue to get eliminations on Wellington as they end up falling down again.
Miles, if Wellington wants to win this map, they're going to have to follow up on their support play. I feel like their supports are playing pretty well, but they're not able to follow up on most of those picks.
It is looking somewhat dire coming into the last couple fights on Antarctic Peninsula, unless if Wellington can find something big coming out of these next couple plays. I'm thinking the map's going to be going to Waynesville.
I would have to agree. I think that they need to find a pick or two with the Nano. Like, that is their win condition here in this fight. As we see, Waynesville has 3 ultimates. I don't think that Wellington's going to get this point, Miles.
Huge miss on the Suzu there. Wellington does end up using Overclock Mace. Milkman Mason ends up finding 2, but he ends up going down to Herky, and this is not looking good for Wellington as Whiffs ends up switching over to the Lucio.
I think this Lucio is definitely going to be the touch here, as we have to get on point if we want to put it into overtime here.
And I don't think we get a touch, actually.
We do not.
We do not. That is really unfortunate going into that first map for Wellington Napoleon, as they end up falling down 2-1 against Waynesville. Waynesville played that very well going into playing against the strengths of Wellington Napoleon. Wellington just kind of looked a little scrappy out there.
I'd have to agree. I think the domination by Herky on the Winston, I think, is what started to turn the tide for Waynesville there. I think it got Wellington really flustered.
Yeah, 100%. Now, going into the next map, we will be going on to Blizzard World. Do you think that Waynesville is going to be able to continue running that Winston, or will Wellington have to answer to something else this next map?
I would like to see them continue the Winston and then try and force Wellington onto that Sigma pick. Because if I know Pigdini, I know he's a good Sigma. So I want to see if he goes to it at all.
And I think Wellington, if they try to lean into that Sigma pick, they'd be able to play well. But that is if they play into that. And we'll just have to see after this short break. Catch you then. Hello, everyone, and welcome back. We are back from the break, and we are going to do a quick little player spotlight. We're going to be taking a look at Cole Williamson. There are some of his things out on the overlay there. Most notably, I want to talk about his fun fact that he gave us. That he once beat the alumni Big Gavin Crawford, in a 1v1. All I'm saying, Cole, I feel like I could talk to Gavin. I want to see a 1v1 between you two on stream.
You know, Miles, is it fair to say that I have also once beat Gavin Crawford in a 1v1 arena?
I think statistically, we might have all beat Gavin Crawford in a 1v1 arena.
I think that is statistically possible.
I think statistically anything is possible, especially if he's AFK.
Anything is statistically possible. You are very correct.
But yeah, interesting. And if you're wondering what that picture is of him, that is him reading up what Nate has cooked for the playbook. And I hope Nate is cooking something in the playbook going on to Blizzard World, as that is our next map. Do you think Wellington is going to change anything up, Matthew?
Miles, I want to see either a dive comp or a Sigma. That's what I want to see.
I have bad news, because it does not look like we will be getting either of those. We will be staying with the Arissa, it would appear.
It's so lame.
However, it does counter the Winston that is coming out from Waynesville, and it also does somewhat counter the Sombra as well that we're seeing. Obviously, Wellington does not know, but it would counter.
Miles, I'm sorry to interrupt you. Do my eyes deceive me? Have Wisp and Vitamin C swapped characters?
Yes, they have, actually.
Oh my goodness, would you look at that?
Cole's reaction to the cookbook is accurate. It is interesting because both of these, both Ash and Andrew both seem very comfortable on their respective heroes, so it's interesting to see them want to switch it up, per se. But let's go ahead and get into this first fight. We are going to be seeing Herky jumping in. Hack does go onto it. Would appear Milkman Mason. He does end up falling. Herky does dive in. Wiggle Duck ends up finding one, and Wellington's just kind of falling over.
Miles, I'm going to fall back on saying this. I don't think the Arista comp's going to work against this dive.
It is looking incredibly rough for this first fight here on Blizzard World. And we are going to actually be seeing some switch-ups coming from Wellington Napoleon. Milkman Mason swapping onto the Reaper, and Pig Dini is going to be going onto that Diva. A very spy check heavy comp, per se.
Yeah, I'd have to agree. You have that Diva to counter the Winston and a spy check for the Sombra. I think you're right, Miles. I think this could work.
And we are already seeing a little bit of gain coming out from this, but it's mainly just poking at this point, as both teams are jumping up, getting a little bit of poke in, and then jumping back. Wellington is conceding the high ground, however. This might be a fatal mistake, as Tucker Martin ends up falling down. The fight advantage already in Waynesville favor, as Pig Dini is a little bit disconnected. He is able to get out alive, but Wellington's just backpedaling right now, as they end up falling down another. Wisp ends up falling down. This is looking horrible for Wellington Napoleon.
You know, Miles, this is not what I meant whenever I said I want to see a dive comp come out. I wanted to see the Winston mirror, because I feel like it gives them a little bit of pushback, and they can dive their backline while they're diving theirs.
We are going to see the Cassidy coming out for Tucker Martin. It just kind of seems like we're getting a little bit desperate. He ends up falling down to the Zenyatta, and Wellington is just falling over. Once again, second point goes to Waynesville.
Waynesville's looking dominant here. I think this Winston comp might be their comfort pick, and I applaud it because it is working very well. Yeah, as we said, Apple Cider Pie gets the stagger onto Wisp. That's going to be a big stagger for Wellington Napoleon here.
This is going to be a huge ultimate fight. I'm expecting both teams to use their entire ultimate bank. EMP is going to be the main focal point here, coming from Waynesville, however, I believe. Actually, Milkman Mason ends up going crazy, finding the first eliminating pick. Nano Blade comes, not Nano Blade, just Blade comes out, ends up finding one, Wisp finds that, Milkman Mason finds another, Tucker Martin finds the Moira, and Wellington actually wins their first team fight of Blizzard World.
More power to them without ultimates too. That's the big thing, is they didn't expend a single ultimate there.
Wellington is now technically in the ultimate advantage, but Wellington's just got to keep holding on to that. Once they let that go, I feel like it's just going to go downhill once again.
I would have to agree, but as we see 2 ults come out here, I hope we do not use any more.
It is
you see the Transcendence comes out.
I'm fully expecting to see a Death Blossom come out from Wellington here, but I'd also expect to see it getting countered by the EMP. EMP comes out, Tracer falls, both teams having 2 people fall. It is an even team fight. Milkman Mason tries to get out alive, he does not, and all that's alive is a demeched Baby Diva.
Miles, one of my bingo cards, one of my bingo spots has been fulfilled. I said 6 ultimates in a fight.
Well, it wasn't 6 ultimates. Was that?
Yeah, it was. Yeah.
Why don't you actually make a bingo card for this week? We'll talk about that later. As we're going to be going into possibly the last fight of this map, we'll take a look at Peak Dini's view. Milkman Mason ends up getting hacked. Pixie Rose gets really aggressive with his Deadeye, ends up finding one. Milkman Mason goes for his Death Blossom, finds one before getting hacked, and Waynesville's actually just going to go ahead and try to get out alive. Yeah, everyone's just trying to back out now after they got a couple dropped out. That's something I think one can kind of maybe take a look on, is Waynesville can disengage very effectively.
Yeah, I would have to agree. I think if we learn to engage and disengage as a team, I think that we'd be able to find a lot more space together and be able to win these team fights as a team.
Wellington at the ult disadvantage once again in this fight. Does not matter. Milkman Mason ends up finding one. Genji Blade comes out, ends up finding one on Milkman Mason. Does get slept. Big sleep coming out from Wisp, and she ends up finding the elimination on the Genji. Vitamin C ends up falling down in this fight, but we are going to see a Nano coming out on the Cass. Bomb does come out from the Diva as well, finds the Moira. This is going to be a pig pick coming out from Wellington, as they might be able to turn this fight around now.
Is that what we're going to start calling Pig Dini's Diva bombs now, Miles? Pig picks? Pig picks.
Hey, man.
Listen, I like it. I like the name. I'm not hating.
Pig picks?
Pig picks. That's what we're going to start calling it. That's a new name.
We are also going to be seeing the Reinhardt actually coming out from Wellington. It does counter the Zarya comps very well, so it is happy to see it. And Wellington ends up rushing early, and they're going to be able to win this fight for just one ultimate.
Wow. Miles, I looked away and I looked back, and the fight's over already.
Wellington go first, and they actually end up finding a good advantage. Herky's going to be switching over to the Ramatra. We're seeing just a lot of tank play, swapping between the two, trying to find the advantage between them.
Yeah, this is good counterplay that I missed from Overwatch 1. Is the ability to swap to heroes that just make an impact based depending on what the enemy's playing.
Milkman Mason actually went in a little bit early there, ended up finding 2 picks, and that's just going to give Wellington a free team fight there, as he's actually just going to keep on going. He ends up going into the spawn of Waynesville and finds
Herky GG. That was great aggression from Milkman Mason. Perfectly timed as well, to where he knew that he could just help his team out by going in a little bit early.
Oh, I think we know what ultimate we're going to be seeing this next fight, huh?
Miles, I think it's very safe to say. But, you know, he could be spy checked by the Sombra. As you see the EMP come out and gets 4.
Pig Dini does fall down, so does the Sombra, however. Mason is still in the back line, but he isn't going to be able to find anything with the Transcendence out from Wiggle Duck. This is not looking good for Wellington, as Milkman Mason ends up falling, and the rest of the support line will end up falling with him.
You know, Miles, I must say, that is a pro-level Transcendence. Great timing on it. Great positioning. He was able to save his entire team with that. As we see the Earthshatter come out.
Huge coming out from Pig Dini. Puts 3 on the ground, is able to find multiple picks with it. As Ramatra sits on point, High Noon from behind, but I don't think will Wellington be able to capitalize off the rest of it. It looks like they will. Ramatra is living on the point, but Tucker Martin and Vitamin C are able to find the last pick. as Waynesville's going to be looking for a last touch here.
You know, Miles, they are coming up on that coalescence. That might be huge for them, but Wellington Napoleon starts out with a nano. It's
Really
a nano
early
Pidini.
nano, maybe just a deterrent, and it does look like it will be a good deterrent as no one is able to touch the card.
That was a huge final fight from Wellington Napoleon as they fought out through the Transcendence and the EMP and still ended up winning the fight, Miles.
That was actually a huge hold. Going into point 3 there, Waynesville had 6 minutes on the clock.
That is something else.
A 6-minute hold coming out from point 3 on Wellington after getting just stomped on for the first 2 points is an insane thing you'd like to see coming from Wellington, and it's maybe moving the momentum into their favor.
I would have to agree with you, Miles. I think that was absolutely massive, and it will change the tides for WN here.
Doesn't look like we're going to see a lot change here, but we are going to be seeing the Soldier 76 coming out from Milkman Mason and the Zarya coming out for Pig Dini. Once again, the tank mind games are coming into play.
And I'll keep you safe.
Alrighty, yeah, we see the Zarya and the Orisa come back out. Miles, am I gonna say it again that I'm not the biggest fan of this Orisa comp?
I'm not a huge fan of the Zarya comp that's coming out from Wellington. I don't feel like we've been getting a lot of usefulness out of it. I just don't think it's been very useful for Wellington. However, we are going to be seeing a Mercy. I'm expecting it to be pocketing the Ashe, but it looks like she'll be pocketing the Soldier for this fight. So Milkman Mason might be having some difficulty taking out the Soldier.
Yeah, I would have to agree. And back on the tank play, I think if we would have kept with the Diva, I think that was working out well. And I want to see some more pig picks. What can I say?
It is kind of looking like we're seeing some high-drawn Soldier 76 gameplay as Milkman Mason is off on his own flanking, but Wellington Napoleon pushing high ground themselves is able to find 1 pick, finds 2. Tucker Martin is going crazy on this first fight here. Pig Dini finds another big anti coming out on the enemy Arisi here as Herky's just having to go back to their spawn trying to get out alive.
Big first fights from both teams on their attacking rounds. I think that they were able to find some really good picks early, and that just allowed for both teams to end up taking the first point off of that.
And we already are seeing some counter swaps coming out from Waynesville as we're seeing the Reinhardt Bastion come out. That's going to be really scary if you're on the Zarya comp.
I have to agree. They're going to need a shield of some sort, Miles, and that's going to come down as we see Apple Cider Pie take the high ground off of the grenade boost and just finds 2 off of it with a Mercy pocket as well. And this fight is looking like it's in Waynesville's favor.
Playing really aggressive, just taking the advantage. Waynesville's able to find what they want again, and Wellington's just going to have to back off as Pig Dini's just going to get staggered.
Yeah, I'm not sure what to think about that from Pig Dini's point of view. I mean, obviously, you're going to want to try and fight it and hold out that space for your team. But at the same time, if you get staggered, that's going to be a huge hurt to your time clock. And Miles, we do end up seeing the Rhine Mirror. I'm going to like this a little bit more than the Zarya.
But I don't like the fact that we don't have a Bastion. The Bastion on Waynesville is going to put so much pressure, but it doesn't even matter. Tucker Martin ends up finding 1. Pig Dini cancels the res, and we're just going to see Wellington push the advantage now. Pig Dini is slept, but it doesn't look like it's going to matter.
Yeah, so we see Herky GG missed that fire strike, and that was crucial because that could have helped out his ultimate charge so much.
Wellington is looking for some potential staggers here, but it's starting to look just more like poking. As Wellington is also looking very good on this first attack, and we're looking at final fight for point B.
I must say, do my eyes deceive me? Do we have our shatter first?
I think we do. Pig Dini goes aggressive with it with the nano, pushes into the enemy spawn, and Wellington is able to cap the point.
That was great Reinhardt play there from Pig Dini. And good follow-up by Milkman Mason, finding 3 to end the team fight.
He's AFK at this point.
Miles, I think he's taking a drink of milk.
He's taking a drink of milk. Well, we'll have to look at his player spotlight at the end of this match. 100%. 100%. Thanks. I'm 100% expecting to see a Rush Visor come out in this next fight. Try to just do it early before Waynesville can use any of their ults.
No, Miles, I'd have to agree. Statistically speaking, it is highly likely that it does come out.
Huge block coming out from Pig Dini. No value from the shatter from Waynesville's Milkman Mason just pushes into the back line. Finds 3, finds 4. Huge combo between the Visor and the Rush from the Kiriko. Wellington is able to just kind of keep on strolling up until the end of this map. We're looking at last fight territory for Waynesville. Herky ends up going out onto the ball, but it's just going to be a final stall, whatever. And
this is Overwatch. It is chaos.
it is chaos. As Pig Dini ends up finding 2, trying to find 3 on this Ana. Finds it, finds 4 on the ball, and Wellington is able to just go ahead and push it in, and they're going to be taking Blizzard World 3-2.
That was a great attack from Wellington Napoleon. I think that they finally got their comp figured out, Miles. I think that they need to stick onto this Reinhardt pick because I think it's going to play to their advantage.
I think they finally got momentum. I think that's the biggest thing here. Because once they realized, hey, we can actually start doing stuff and start pushing the advantage ourselves, we started to see just more everything coming out from Wellington. And looking at the map pool, I think they're going to be able to continue that onto Rialto of just continuously pushing the advantage.
I would have to agree with you.
And we will be going to Rialto right after this break. Hello everyone, today we'll be going over the basics of the 5v5 multiplayer game Overwatch. We will talk about the characters and the map types. In Overwatch, you have 3 different classes. You have your tanks, who are going to generally be your front line, and the ones that are taking the brunt of the damage for the team. And then you have your damage, or DPS. Your damage players will be the main fraggers for the team, and these players will be the ones who are dealing the most damage for the team as well. And then finally, you have your support players. Your supports are going to be the ones who are keeping your team alive and sustaining everyone throughout the fights of the game. Now on to the game modes that are in Overwatch. There are 5 of them: Control, Escort, Hybrid, Push, and Flashpoints. Control is a best of 3 King of the Hill style game mode, where the objective is to hold the point to 100%. The first team to win 2 rounds of Control will win the map. Next we have Escort. In Escort, both teams will push the payload the furthest they can. Whoever can push the payload furthest before their time runs out will win the map. In cases where both teams push the payload the entire full distance of the map, the game will not reset, but the cart will start from 0 again, and it will keep going until one or both teams run out of time. Now on to Hybrid. Hybrid is a hybrid game mode between Escort and an old game mode called Assault. For the first capture point, the attacking team will need to capture 100% of the objective. This will then unlock the Escort part of the map, where the attacking team will push the payload as far as they can. Whoever can take the capture point or push the payload the furthest will end up winning the map. Continuing on to Push, Push is similar to Escort. However, instead of a payload, your goal is to push the robot as far as you can. Both teams will be constantly fighting for progress, and whichever team pushes the robot the furthest will end up winning the map. And finally, we have Flashpoint. Flashpoint is similar to Control, except instead of rounds, after you fully capture a flashpoint, another one will open up on the map. First team to win 3 flashpoints will end up winning the map. I would like to thank you all for watching, and be sure to watch out for the future for more content about everything Overwatch. Alright, so we are back, and let's go ahead and take a look at Milkman Mason's player spotlight. And let's just look at his fun fact. Likes milk. Who would have thought?
Yo, Miles, I think it's statistically possible that Mason likes milk.
It would cripple this man if he was lactose intolerant.
Miles, he looks like such a sad boy in that picture, though. What
Kinda.
happened?
He refused to smile. Simply put.
Is it because he's an Overwatch player? Is that what it is?
I don't think Overwatch that bad. But let's go ahead and talk about the next map. Again, Rialto and Wellington will be actually swapping sides this time around.
Miles, I don't like it.
You don't like it? Yeah, neither do I. Let's go on ahead and get into it. Croissant, croissant, croissant. Yes. If you do hear anything like words in the background getting repeated, it's often the characters the people are playing saying it.
And you can thank Milkman Mason for that because he does like his croissants.
It is kind of funny.
Miles, I cannot stop laughing. If you hear me go silent, I'm probably giggling.
Well, let's go on ahead. We are going to be seeing the Sigma comp coming out from Waynesville, which is what we've been wanting to see Wellington run this entire time. Milkman Mason gets really aggressive with it. Almost pays off for him. Wellington is able to push up to this first corner here. But Pixie Rose ends up falling down. So does Pig Dini. And Wellington's going back to spawn.
Miles, I gotta say, I don't think this Arista comp's gonna be it on this map. They need to play the Sigma.
We are seeing the Sigma! It is
Hallelujah.
Huge rock coming through from Pig Dini already. Canceling the grasp coming out from Herky. And Wellington is able to push the advantage. Immortality gone from Wiggle Duck. And Wellington's able to push up a little bit more freely now. Let's go on ahead and take a look at... Oh, my keypoints are all mixed up now. Tucker Martin. Milkman Mason actually ends up finding one as soon as I swap off onto him. On the Kiriko there. Cole pushes up a little bit too far. Has to back up a little bit. Magnetic Grenade ends up landing on Herky there. And Wellington's just kind of pushing up. Huge sleep coming out from Vitamin C. They switched up the support line once again for us. And Wellington's just kind of able to win this first long fight.
Miles, what can I say? I'm just so glad that they keep on doing this to us. We have no idea what to call them.
Yeah, I almost just called, oh, Ashley hit a huge sleep. And for some reason, what?
The hero graphitic flux, and it almost works out.
Almost. Immortality
to
also
end.
used.
Wow. As we see, two picks ended up coming out on the side of Waynesville. They're trying their hardest to save this first point, but it inevitably Wellington opponent is going to get it.
Wellington able to once again be aggressive, and they're able to play to their own advantage. And we're reaping all the benefits of it too. Waynesville not really knowing what to do or how to engage. Milkman Mason plays a little bit to advantage, ends up getting caught out, and Wellington's probably going to have to back up here. Tucker Martin's a little bit in.
So is Milkman Mason as he ends up getting picked off. But we see a huge graphitic flux come out from Pig Dini as we see another pig pick. Not really, but we do see a Pix's pick.
Window does come out with Visor. For some reason, Tucker thought, I'm going to peek that. Ends up falling down to it. And Wellington looks like they're going to be able to win this first fight here on point B. Huge rock coming out from Pig Dini there, knocking the soldier off a high ground. And Wellington's able to just keep on pushing up with 4 ultimates in their bank. Huge ultimate coming out from Milkman Mason as he just keeps on pushing up. Ends up finding 2 with it. Is he going to be able to find more? It does not look like it. Tucker Martin ends up finding 1 here. And Wellington's able to win up another fight here as they just keep on pushing up and being aggressive. 2 ultimates used from Wellington on that fight.
Yeah, as we see Wiggle Duck get Magnetic Grenade, and it gives that new hindered status in Miles, as we saw earlier between just you and me. It can make a lot of difference.
Hindered it's honestly worse than just the old stun grenade at times. Like, but enough about that. We are going to see Rush coming out from Waynesville. Same with Reaper ult. Milkman Mason says, I don't want none of that. Ends up finding the elimination on Apple Cider Pie, and the fight is even. Wellington ends up finding another one. Tucker finds one. Ultimate comes out from Herky. Ends up finding 3. Huge ultimate coming out from Waynesville, and Wellington's going to have to reset.
Miles, that was the hero play that Waynesville needed right there. That solidified this, and it's going to shift the momentum from Wellington to Waynesville for them.
Very much so. We are going to be seeing a Graphitic Flux coming out on the side of Wellington next fight, and we're seeing the Alari switch and Genji switch on the side of Waynesville. Do you think that's really going to change much on Wellington's side for the comp of things?
I do think that the Genji will make quite a bit of difference. Apple Cider Pie has shown that they are huge on this Genji.
Whiff coming out from Peak Dini. A blunder we are seeing before our very eyes. Huge rock, however,
from Vitamin C.
Hits the wall, anti-huge. Wellington able to capitalize off that, but they are down 2. The team fight is even. Apple Cider Pie is able to just keep on finding more and more and more, and Wellington loses that fight as well.
Miles, like I was saying, this Genji is going to be huge, and this momentum shift is going to happen.
No ultimates used on the side of Waynesville, while Wellington does use a big one, being that Graphitic Flux. Wellington does have, however, a big ultimate in the barrel, being Milkman Mason, who's back in spawn.
Wow. Yeah, that's what I have to say about that ultimate. Wow.
Granted, he did not use his ultimate, but
that's true. And we see Pixis Rose find Apple Cider Pie. That could be the pick that they need.
He did.
Miles, the universe is singing to Wellington Sigma here.
Alari ult ends up coming out. Tucker Martin says, nah, I don't want none of that. Apple Cider Pie just ends up finding him. Herky GG finds 2. Milkman Mason finds 1. But it does not look like this is going to go in Wellington's favor. Milkman Mason does find another, but it doesn't look like it'll be enough. Wellington ends up wiping here, and looks like this next fight is going to be a big ultimate fight.
That was a good ultimate trade. I will take that ultimate trade for Wellington Napoleon any day. They traded the Nano for the Rising Sun and their Graphitic Flux.
Going into this next fight, you can 100% rush into this with either the Deadeye to try to find 1 or 2 opening picks, or go ahead and throw Milkman Mason out there and just say, go do things. We are actually going to see huge coming out from Pig Dini. Lifts up almost the entire team, and that's just going to be a huge setup combined with the Deadeye from Tucker Martin.
And yeah, Pixis Rose is just in here finding these awesome pickoffs after the Flux, just taking advantage of this low health that everyone else is on.
And Wellington is going to be able to go into this with 2 big ultimates. Genji Blade does come out. It does find 2, finds 3, and Wellington, it's kind of starting to look a little bit rough for him going into this last fight.
I have to agree, especially since they used the overclock, Miles. They're not going to have a whole lot to go off of for this last fight. It's going to be a very raw fight.
It's going to be incredibly scary for them, considering the fact that Sigma has ult, and they also have Nano for any sustain that they might possibly need. We are going to be seeing the switch Vitamin C onto the Lucio just for that little bit extra speed that Wellington might need getting to the point. And it does look like he's going to be the touch, but he's being a little bit too aggressive.
As he gets on, and then we see the Graphitic Flux come out. There down goes Wisp, and Wellington's just falling one after another.
Once again, it's a momentum thing. I 100% believe in that. Once Waynesville was able to establish themselves on that .3 defense, with the momentum on their side, Wellington just kind of staggered their way up and up that hill until they got to that final resting place. However, on Rialto, that's still a really good push coming out for Wellington Napoleon.
That is a great push from Wellington Napoleon there.
But going on to the defense for Wellington Napoleon, what are you expecting to see? Are you expecting them to keep the same comp and hope the momentum stays in their favor? Or are you wanting them to try to counterpick something?
I like the Sigma pick. However, I think Pixis Rose needs to go more towards the Genji again.
Try to
I
counter
feel like,
or
yeah,
go up against Apple Cider Pie in this case, huh?
and it looks like we are not going to see. We're going to see some Metro come out.
It is interesting, but I don't think it's a bad pick in this case. On defense, Symmetra played correctly with her wall being such a divider as it can be. I think it's actually a good pick coming out from Pixie Rose. Or Tucker Martin.
I'd have to agree with you, Miles. I'm sorry, as I'm sitting here yawning, it's been a very long day for a college student.
Well, buckle up, because this match looks like it's going the distance. We are
I have to agree with you, Miles.
We are going to be seeing Milkman Mason on the Cassidy instead of Tucker, which is going to be interesting. He goes crazy, instantly finding Apple Cider Pie with the headshot, and Wellington's already going to be able to swing the momentum in their favor and win this first fight, it looks like.
I have to agree, Miles. I think it's going to be a little bit more than just crazy. I think it's going to work out just fine for Milkman Mason.
With that being said, it does look like Wellington is dreaded to the double flex support backline that they are always cursed to eventually running. But
We'll have to agree.
Not all fiends are bad. Wellington does look like they are sustaining pretty well. As long as Milkman Mason does not go down, he does! Wellington down a player, ends up finding one of their own on Apple Cider Pie. Both Cassidy's down on either team. Pixie Rose ends up finding another one on the Ana, and Wellington is in the driver's seat for this fight.
Miles, I have to say that was a huge anti-nade by Wiggle Duck there to seal a pick off of onto Milkman Mason there. As we see Wisp fall low, and they're just trying to back out here. Pixis Rose has to get out. You cannot regress there.
He's playing way too aggressively, and especially whenever you have that teleporter, more than likely on cooldown, he should have 100% been getting out way sooner than that. Now Wellington's looking for a last touch on point A.
But as you see, Wisp already has the amplification matrix. I want it to be used here.
Pylon down for Waynesville. That's going to be a that's going to be a large amount of healing that's no longer accessible. We are going to see Sun come out as well, as 2 people are down for Wellington, 3 are down, and Waynesville's going to go ahead and get this first point pretty cheaply. Cheaply? Cheap?
Miles, I just realized I was totally talking to you and my mic was muted.
For how long?
The last 30 seconds probably.
That's why the stream got so much more enjoyable.
Thank you, Miles. I really appreciate the comments.
Yeah, no problem. Let's get back into the game. However, Big D going crazy with it, ends up fighting multiple with his ultimate, ends up going down. However, both tanks down. Another 2 people go down. The team fights are even. Will Mason be able to clean it up? No, he is not. Both supports alive for Wellington, but it doesn't look like they're going to be able to do very much. As Whips just looks like they're staggering themselves.
Yeah, I would have to agree. That was great support play there by Waynesville, as we see Xe and Wiggle Duck there. Just Xe, especially on the Alari. Like, what can I say? This character has so much carry potential as a support player.
Also as a DPS player if you play it correctly or enough.
Yeah.
We are going to see the tank counter coming out again. Ramatra. We are going to see the overclock coming out from Milkman Mason. Is he going to be able to get much with it? It doesn't look like. Huge Emor coming out from Wisp here, keeping the entire team alive. And Wellington looks like they're going to be able to stabilize, finding 2 picks early in this fight. And looks like Waynesville's going to be backing out.
And Waynesville did use the nano there as well. And I think that was huge for Wellington opponent that nano came out and they still ended up winning the fight.
Nano and Graphitic. Wellington did use 3 of their own, but to move the momentum back in their favor, I think you take that.
I would agree. And they're coming up on this amplification matrix, which could be huge. But as we see the Alari come up on the Rising Sun again, as we've seen in the past, it's worked out great for Waynesville.
I I would like to see what the answer is from Wellington Napoleon, as multiple people are pushing top, contesting Milkman Mason up there. He is going to have to fall down low ground. Anti-nade coming out. Visor ends up coming out as well. Sun comes out. Window is used for Wellington. Pig Dini finds 2, but I don't think it's going to be enough.
I have to agree with you, Miles. I think it was a great use of an ability from Pig Dini, but XC's Rising Sun there just capitalized on this team fight for Waynesville.
Wellington is starting to look a little bit rough here on third point, having to defend for 3 minutes, but they were able to hold for 6 minutes on Blizzard World, so it's not out of the question. But Wellington's really got to get back in gear.
I have to agree. As we see the Annihilation come out and he gets slept, he's got to get back into LOS of these enemies, or else this will...
Anti. He gets no value from that ultimate. Waynesville just backs out. They don't want anything to do with it.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to seeing Wisp try and build another amplification matrix here so quickly, as she has the past 2 times.
I think Wellington's playing a little bit too aggressive here, and getting caught out for it. And Waynesville's just going to be able to clean up their big ultimate coming out from Herky, and that's just probably going to be the end of this map.
Yeah, I would have to agree. I think they have an opportunity to touch again, especially with the projected barrier coming out from the Symmetra, but I'm not sure if it's going to be enough for Wellington Napoleon here.
I do like seeing the Reinhardt switch coming out. Milkman Mason does have Visor. Tucker Martin does find 1 pick. The fight is up in Wellington Napoleon's favor. The Sigma is sleeping on the ground. Tucker finds another one here. Wellington is able to take this fight, turn it around, and looks like Wellington is back in the driver's seat once again.
Would have to agree, and they built 3 ultimates in that fight, Miles. I think that's critical for Wellington Napoleon in order to be able to turn this 2 minutes into another map win for them.
It does look like Wellington is going to get a little bit experimental with it, however, and they're going to have their Soldier and Ana flanking, possibly? No, it's a little bit too dangerous for them. They're going to go ahead and try to back out. Window is used really early from Wellington, and I don't think they're going to get any value from that other than wasting about 10 seconds off the clock. Never mind!
I think that was it. And as I was just about to say, Moss, I think that was it. I don't hate the usage of that ultimate, of the amplification matrix there. I think it finds him a lot more space to work with in this fight. As we see, they're able to capitalize on the first pick that Pixis Rose got.
Yeah, that's a really big pickup that that Tucker Martin was able to get there. And Wellington able to cut off another minute off the time bank. You're going to be looking at final fight territory coming up here with ult advantage very strongly in Wellington's favor. Shatter almost online. That's the big one.
Would have to agree. And they have the nano and the visor, Miles. They still also have this photon barrier for the Pixis Rose here. He's been holding on to that for a little bit, and I think it's gonna be huge for them.
Looks like they're gonna go ahead and use that first. Shatter does come out. Milkman Mason is down, dies in visor. Pig Dini finds 2. Will this be enough for Wellington as Vitamin C goes down? Only Baptiste healing. Pig Dini says, not on my watch. We're taking this map. Wellington ends up cleaning up that fight, saving the nano for last fight. That's going to be big.
Miles, I thought that was huge. I was kind of worried that it was going to go in Waynesville's favor because Vitamin C died with the nano.
Huge charge coming up from Pig Dini. Huge read. Will Waynesville have a touch? It doesn't look like it. They do, actually. Herky does go down very close to his ultimate. That's a big pickup for Wellington as Whiff ends up finding a couple eliminations there, and Wellington is actually able to take the 3rd map of our series, Rialto. We're going to map 4.
That was really well played by Wellington Napoleon there. I think that they need to stick to this Reiner Sigma comp. I think it works out best in their favor.
I agree. Wellington played really well there once they realized what they needed to do. Once again, we're seeing what we saw on Blizzard World, but they had to relearn it, it kind of felt like at some point on Rialto here. What I'm kind of hoping for on this next map, we're not going to have to see that. But speaking of our next map, let's go ahead and take a look at that, if my stuff will load. There we are. So our fourth map of the night will be Colosseo, a push map. How do you feel about Wellington's chances going into this map?
I think if they can stick on this Reinhardt comp, I think it is huge.
Do
Like
you think
I think that they can take it in this map if they keep with this Reinhardt comp.
are we going to be seeing? You think it's going to go all the way? We're going to be seeing some Busan, perhaps.
You know, Miles, I would prefer not to, but if it happens, it happens.
If it happens, it happens. Well, there's only one way to find out, and we'll have to catch you after this break. All right. Welcome back, everyone. My room is getting darker, and all my monitors are white, so my face just gets whiter. It's pain.
Listen,
But
Miles,
let's.
at least your face is there.
That is true. At least I remembered my webcam.
Mm.
Hmm. All right, enough about that. Let's go ahead and take a look at another player spotlight for tonight. And that will be...
What can I say? The one and only, my little brother, Andrew Travis, or Vitamin C. The disturbing thing is he says he's got 36 granola bars. I think he ate like 12 of them in one day, Miles.
Oh, that's embarrassing. You just put that out there for him. That's embarrassing. You just threw him out there. That's crazy.
It's all right. He'll let me know about it later.
But yeah, Vitamin C has been playing a mix of Kiriko and Ana this series, but we're gonna have to see what he does on our next map, Coliseo. And Wellington has not played a push map this season, actually, so we don't really know what to expect. So why not? Let's just go ahead and get right into it, huh?
I think it's a great idea, Miles.
And already, one, Waynesville's just kind of getting weird with it, and two,
Miles,
going.
I think I'm gonna step out. I'm gonna step out. All right,
Again?
listen. The more I see an Orisa comp, the more I want to cry. Why? If we stick on the Rhine, we win.
Maybe we'll see some we'll see some switches. But right now, we are going to be seeing the double hit scan coming out from Wellington and the double flex once again, and the Orisa.
And we do see Milkman Mason here on Soldier, and Pixis throws back on the Cassidy. It looks like we're going for a very hit scan ready comp.
It's a lot of shield breakage, honestly, and I feel like that might play well into the Reinhardt if Wellington play it well enough. But it just kind of looks like we're standing there waiting for something to happen. Milkman Mason does get exposed by Wiggle Duck, who is on the Bastion. Perky is a little bit low, but the Immortality is going to keep him up, which is underneath the bot. We are going to see Milkman Mason going ahead and already swap off back onto the Sojourn, his comfort pick right now. Tucker Martin does get a little bit aggressive, falls down to the Baptiste, and Wellington's just kind of falling apart right now, it would appear.
Yeah, I do want to note the substitution of, is it Mustang that came in onto this map?
No,
on the side of Waynesville?
No, he's been playing the entire time, I believe.
That's right. They subbed out Apple Cider Pie as we see...
Apple Cider Pie is on Baptiste.
Yeah.
It would appear Wiggle Duck and Apple Cider Pie swapped roles.
Yes, so that is what I was trying to convey. Thank you, Miles.
But while Matthew was confused, it would appear Wellington won a fight. Whoops. Not sure exactly what happened there, but Wellington did get their advantage, and Cole is actually already ready for a Terra Surge, with both support ults being online for Wellington. Whoa, Cole, what are you doing?
He was in there, Miles. And as we see Milkman Mason trade him out for Wiggle Duck onto the Bastion. So we see the
finds two actually
come out from Waynesville.
But Wellington just kind of looks like they're starting to stumble as they're having to backtrack. Bastion ult coming out from Waynesville. Herky is incredibly low. Tucker Martin able to find one, but he almost goes down to the Bastion ult. He does not. And Wellington's back in the driver's seat as Waynesville's having to back out. We're trying to look for that Junkrat stagger, but it doesn't look like we're going to be able to get it. He's going to be able to get out alive. Wellington is looking for this last point here, and with the ultimate bank right now, I think they could get it. Ooh, here's the Reinhardt switch we're wanting so bad. However, Wellington is laid out on.
Listen, we got it.
Supports are somewhat traded here. Wellington looks like they're just going to go on ahead and go for the full-on wipe as Herky pushes Big Dini off the map and Tucker decides to join him.
Yeah, I think it was a smart reset by Pixis Rose there to not give the enemy an ult charge. I will have to agree with his decision there to fall off the map. As we see Milkman Mason trying to... Did that collide with the Junkrat miner, or did it reach its max range? That's what I'm trying to figure out.
Milkman Mason goes down early this fight. That's going to be a huge blunder for Wellington as they are down a player. Cole still wanting to play really aggressive in the front line, but Wellington's just going to have to play a little bit. Noon comes out, Nano on the Rhine. Pigdini does get charged. He does cancel the charge, however, as he is antied. Cole still pushing up. trying to get that Shatter. Shatter online, has to back up into the Immortality, gets pushed out of the Immortality, and Wellington's gonna lose this fight, it looks like.
The main reason that they lost that fight, Miles, is we see Vitamin C and Pickus Rose go down super early, right after the Nano.
That is really unfortunate coming from Wellington there. But they will have another touch here before Waynesville is able to get it to the same distance as them. And I think if Wellington plays this correctly, they could take this in their favor. But they have to play it smart.
Yeah,
Shatter does come out from Pigdini. I don't think it gets a lot of value, however, and Milkman Mason goes down. Huge pick coming out from Tucker Martin. Bastional used on the side of Waynesville, and they're able to get the cart lead here, as they also get butt scratch.
They do find the butt scratch and take the lead from Wellington Napoleon here.
They removed the animation?
Well, I think that they removed. I don't. Was it ever actually in?
Maybe it was in the trailer. Window use from Wellington here really early. I like it, but also at the same time, it's a little bit too far back as Waynesville's just able to kite it, and now they're able to push up with Wellington down in ultimate. They're actually going to be wrapping around, it looks like. Cole, none the wiser, pushes up against the tank, and Waynesville actually pushes right back the other direction. Cole finds nothing with that pin. That's going to be really bad for Wellington if he's not able to find anything here. Tucker Martin ends up finding 2 with the noon. That's going to be huge. Shatter comes out from Herky. And that... Oh, huge fire strike. Finds 3. And Wellington sent packing back to spawn.
Wow. That's what I have to say, Miles. Wow.
Matthew, I think we're going. I think we're taking a. We're going to Busan. 4 minutes left on this push map, and Wellington looking somewhat defeated going into this. Huge undertaking to have to win this many fights in a row. Shatter comes out, only finds the junk, but that may be all Wellington needs. As Wellington able to
see the Nano come out as well. As we see Pixis Rose end up finding the pick onto the Ana. After Wellington Napoleon used 2 ultimates in that fight. I'm not a big fan of that trade there, Miles.
To be fair, they are somewhat still on track with their counterparts on the ultimate economy. I think that's an okay usage of those ultimates there. Milkman Mason will be coming online with his Reaper ultimate, and we are going to be seeing him possibly flank up top. Pigdini slept, falls down really early. Milkman Mason has to try to get out alive. Wisp ends up finding going back to spawn. Same with Vitamin C, and this is just going to be another wipe for Wellington with no push advantage.
Yeah,
Really
no, that I would have to agree. This is a really great ultimate usage by Waynesville there.
We are going to be seeing the Ramatra coming out from Pigdini here. Thinking last desperate attempt, possibly. Trying to find any ounce of value from this pick. We're going to have to see how it fares against the Reinhardt. Big anti coming out on the Bastion. Immortality used. Immortality burned. And Pigdini's just punching into Waynesville. Finds 1. Milkman Mason finds 1 as well with his ultimate, but gets charged by Herky. Pixie Rose ends up finding Mustang, and it looks like Wellington is actually going to be able to go back and charge the bot as Waynesville's going to try to get a regroup in order.
Yeah, I'd have to agree. Miles, the ultimate combo I'm going to be looking for here that's going to be crucial for Wellington is going to be the Annihilation Nano. And I'm hoping that this is a combo that we're going to try and use here whenever we build it.
Online soon enough. And that is all dependent on how Wellington decides to play this. Sleep comes out, lands on the Reinhardt, but instantly woken. Huge tire coming out from Mustang. Ends up finding 4 on the side of Wellington. And Cole's the only person alive. Tries to stay alive as long as he can, but realizes there's not a whole lot he can do at that point. Huge tire coming out. Completely changes the pace. Wellington burning both support ults that fight. We're no longer going to be seeing that Nano Annihilation here.
Miles, I'm flabbergasted. I I don't have the words to speak after that Riptire.
Absolutely insane clutch Riptire coming out from Mustang. Only having to use 2 ultimates that fight, and we are going to be seeing the Annihilation coming out from Pigdini, who gets charged so far away from the enemy team by the Reinhardt that his Annihilation is just going to clock down until it's nothing. Tries to stay alive as long as he can against the Reinhardt, but I think, yep, there he goes. Tucker Martin is able to find a couple there, though.
Yeah, but there's nothing really you can do there as Pigdini, as you are just charged away from your team and you have nothing to support you.
Wellington realizing they're going to have to regroup with their tank before they try to push up further. Smart play by Wellington. Sadly, no movement like a Lucio from Wellington, so Cole's got a long walk back from spawn as Waynesville's going to be able to take back... maybe they aren't. Waynesville actually wants to take the fight on their ground, which is smart considering they can hold the high ground like where the Baptiste and the Bastion is holding.
Miles, right now I'm looking at this Bastion ultimate, and then they also have a Ryan, they have a Shatter and a Nano that might come out.
Huge sleep came out from Vitamin C there, putting the Reinhardt to sleep after he used the Shatter while he was nanoed, but it does not look like it mattered very much as the rest of Tiger's Deos ends up falling, and that will be the end of the map. We are going to a map 5. First map 5 of the season. This is ridiculous.
All I can say is I'm speechless after that map.
I would have to agree. Match point. It's getting darker outside. I did. But yeah, absolutely insane coming from Waynesville. Able to take it back to Wellington in a dominant fashion on Caliseo here. And we're going to Busan. But yeah, we will be going back to the action right after this quick break. Hello everyone, today we'll be going over the basics of the 5v5 multiplayer game Overwatch. We will talk about the characters and the map types. In Overwatch, you have 3 different classes. You have your tanks, who are going to generally be your front line, and the ones that are taking the brunt of the damage for the team. And then you have your damage, or DPS. Your damage players will be the main fraggers for the team, and these players will be the ones who are dealing the most damage for the team as well. And then finally, you have your support players. Your supports are going to be the ones who are keeping your team alive and sustaining everyone throughout the fights of the game. Now on to the game modes that are in Overwatch. There are 5 of them: Control, Escort, Hybrid, Push, and Flashpoints. Control is a best of 3 King of the Hill style game mode, where the objective is to hold the point to 100%. The first team to win 2 rounds of Control will win the map. Next we have Escort. In Escort, both teams will push the payload the furthest they can. Whoever can push the payload furthest before their time runs out will win the map. In cases where both teams push the payload the entire full distance of the map, the game will not reset, but the cart will start from 0 again, and will keep going until one or both teams run out of time. Now on to Hybrid. Hybrid is a hybrid game mode between Escort and an old game mode called Assault. For the first capture point, the attacking team will need to capture 100% of the objective. This will then unlock the Escort part of the map, where the attacking team will push the payload as far as they can. Whoever can take the capture point or push the payload the furthest will end up winning the map. Continuing on to Push, Push is similar to Escort. However, instead of a payload, your goal is to push the robot as far as you can. Both teams will be constantly fighting for progress, and whichever team pushes the robot the furthest will end up winning the map. And finally, we have Flashpoint. Flashpoint is similar to Control, except instead of rounds, after you fully capture a flashpoint, another one will open up on the map. First team to win 3 flashpoints will end up winning the map. I would like to thank you all for watching, and be sure to watch out for the future for more content about everything Overwatch. All right. We are back from the break, and I had to get, I had map 5, game point, match point. I had to pull out the jersey, the hat, the OG stuff, you know, and of course Matthew would have if he had a webcam.
And if my jersey's still fit. But that's a talk for another day, Miles.
That's a talk for another day. That's a talk for another day. But you know what? Let's waste no time. We're all here for the map 5. Let's go on ahead. We're gonna go on ahead, get into it. Heading to Busan City. Oh no. It's inevitable,
Miles,
Matthew.
You can't see me, but you know the crying face, the like has his hands up and he's just saying why. That's me right now.
What, the map 5?
The map 5, the Orisa. My brain is dead at this point.
You know, this is Tiger versus Tiger, because Waynesville, I'm pretty sure, are Tigers. We are going to see the Milkman, Mason, Bastion coming out here. I think that's a pretty good spot, all things considered, if Wellington can play this correctly. I don't like the fact that they're instantly going low ground here. They're going to be giving up that high ground just buff on being the high ground. But maybe
You're
Wellington's
right, Miles,
got something.
but they're able to play away from the Widow, playing this low ground.
I didn't even see the Widow, I'll be honest. Milkman Mason said, I saw the Widow. I don't see her anymore, though. And Wellington's going to clean up this first fight here, getting capped, and it's actually going to be some pretty good staggers as well. As it looks like Apple Cider Pie's going to try to get out alive. But Wellington taking the advantage with the Orisa comp.
Yeah, and I want to note that we see is that Wiggle Duck that came back to the support and for Xe.
Onto the DPS.
Yeah.
Flanking Widow. Do we see it? We do.
Almost see it.
We're taking a peek. Milkman Mason yeets a grenade in the direction. Gets the elimination. Goes into turret mode. Will he be able to see or find anything? Throws another grenade. Does get some damage. Doesn't look like it's going to be able to find a whole lot more. Perky did switch off of that Ramatra that he started it on and is now on the Diva. I don't think
As you see the artillery configuration come out, and it was pretty solid.
Did get
the Ana
immortality
almost fall.
used. Big Turret Surge ends up coming out. Diva ends up getting demeched here. And the Sojourn for Waynesville super overextended. Milkman Mason sends him back to spawn.
We see 4 ultimates come out.
Oh no. We do see the 4 ultimates come out. We do get value from them. However, that is still 4 ultimates coming out. Waynesville going to be able to come into this with 3. But this is the last fight we're seeing here. So Wellington might be able to pull something off. Milkman Mason staying behind. Misses the grenade. Will be able to find the Ana. Will be able to find the Bastion. Huge play coming out from Milkman Mason here as he's able to find 2 opening picks. But it... Whoa! Huge grenade onto the Baptiste on high ground. This is going to be able to solidify the Wellington Napoleon first round on Busan.
Miles, can I say excellent window placement there by Wisp? It just allowed Milkman Mason to play in that corner, and they had no idea. They thought it was a misplace.
Really just excellent Overwatch coming out from Wellington Napoleon there on that match. It looks like Wellington might actually have the Orisa comp figured out, as we're going to be seeing Waynesville also going on to the Orisa comp.
Yeah, and you know, I'm not sure what we're gonna see on the side of Waynesville. I do see the Kiriko, and I think that might be a good solution. However, I'm not sure about the Sojourn Soldier, as we do see a swap over to the Reaper.
Wellington choosing not to switch anything here. I like it.
Yeah, I'd have to agree. I think it's a great idea not to switch anything up here.
I like the double grenade we're actually seeing. You throw the big one in, and then you throw the little Cassidy one. We are actually going to see a huge pick coming out from Tucker Martin. First fight here. Finds one. Pig Dini says, let me fight. Whoa! Another huge headshot. Found on the Kiriko. Wellington cleaning up this first fight now as Waynesville's going to push back into spawn. Tucker Martin coming up huge. Finds 3. Finds 4. The first fight. Wellington securing the point.
Miles. Yes, Pixis Rose was huge in that. I need to highlight the anti-nade from Wiggle Duck. That was massive. No follow-up was had on it, but I always have to highlight the supports because I know what it's like to be a support player.
You just gotta hype them up. You gotta hype them up. We are gonna see the Baptiste coming out. Huge anti coming out from Vitamin C. Pig Dini able to capitalize off that. 2 people down for Waynesville, and Wellington once again being able to just capitalize off of this. However, there is someone on the point capping. Wellington will have to turn their attention to it. Milkman Mason does take him out, and Waynesville having to just go back into spawn as Wellington cleans up once again, nearing 40% on the point.
You know, Miles, I do think that was the best outcome that could have come out of that situation. However, I'm not sure. I might have given up the point to let them get a little bit of percentage and then fought together on main.
It does look like Waynesville entire tactic here. Now switching off to Sombra. No longer. We're going to see a Terra Surge actually coming out. Combo with the Bastion ult. It is huge! Finds 2 and the Immortality. But 2 people do go down for Wellington. It does not look to be a huge problem, though, as Pig Dini looks to clean up. The last person being Herky on Waynesville. Wellington going up 70%. We're looking at last couple fights here for Busan, and Wellington might be able to take it. Pixie Rose finds 2.
Miles, I think Wellington opponent has caught their stride here. I think that they have found they've found the gear that they need to be shifting to in this driver's seat, and I think it works out so well.
Wellington is firing on all cylinders right now. Milkman Mason is playing a little bit of an aggressive angle, but Pig Dini's able to just come in and save him. Immortality used early, but Tucker Martin does go down. Wiggle Duck is down. Same with Herky. And Wellington looks like they're just going to be cleaning this up again. Huge Javelin comes out. And Wellington, while they did let the point go for about 10%, is going to recap. No overtime. And Wellington takes the 5-map banner. Well, there is a recontest, actually. So it is not over. We will have to see what happens. We are going to see a full team recontest here. Milkman Mason does go down, and huge slam coming from Herky. I counted the eggs. I counted the eggs before they hatched. It would appear.
Miles, you counted the basket. The basket count was wrong. I had to go in there and recount for you. Waynesville's still in it, all right.
They are, but they are on
a stride.
They are on a super weird comp now, however. It does look like Apple Cider Pie is going to be going back to switch onto the Moira, but they are going to be keeping the ball. And I don't know how well that's going to be able to counter Wellington's comp.
Miles, I think that they're just going to make a play for the supports here on Wellington Napoleon's side.
Huge Javelin comes in. Also, Anti, you're going to see the Tracer flanking a little bit. Had to use Recall. We are going to probably see a Terra Surge combined with Milkman Mason. Finds an early pick. Tucker Martin finds another one as well. Wellington up against Waynesville. Bastion ult doesn't look like it's going to get a lot of value as Tucker Martin finds one. Point flipped back in Wellington's favor. Terra Surge finds one, and that is the last Waynesville player down. Mason decides he's going to walk into the Bastion mines, and that is the end of the game. Wellington Napoleon wins in 5 maps against Waynesville. What an absolute banger.
I gotta say nothing but respect to Waynesville for pushing Wellington Napoleon to 5 maps. It's been a while since I've seen that happen.
Absolutely an insane matchup on both sides. Absolutely insane. One thing I absolutely got to point out on both teams is the tank play from Pig Dini and
Herky.
Yeah. Both constantly swapping off to multiple different things, multiple different tanks and their sub roles and everything, main tank, off tank, everything like that, and able to play to what the team needed. Both incredibly flexible, and obviously all the team, everyone needs their spotlight and everything, but we only have so much time. And sadly, there will not actually be a player interview or anything tonight, as well. It did run late, and it is currently 7:15, and we started 30
Yeah.
minutes late as well tonight. So no post-match interview for tonight. However, you'll be able to catch us next week. We should be starting to stream around 5, unless we have another 5-map banner like this. But yeah.
Yeah, I have to agree. Nothing but love for both of these teams. GG's to both teams.
Yeah, absolutely insane. Congratulations to Wellington Napoleon going 3-0 currently in the stage. And who do they play next week? Let's check. October 12th. Wellington will be playing Pleasant Hill High School. So I'd expect that to be another good match.
I'd have to agree. I haven't seen much from Pleasant Hill, but I think that they could push Wellington to another 5 maps if they put it together.
100%. But that will be it for us tonight, and we will see you all next week.